been journaling for a few years now, and many of you seem to love the pictures of the journal that I posted recently. For 3.5 years, I have been into intense level of studying, and back in 2017, when I felt incomplete because I was only studying and I didn't have enough time to pursue my art or creative side. That's when I came across the concept of bullet journaling. I was like, hey, there's a fun and interesting way to be productive, meet your fitness targets, your study targets, you monitor your sleep, your meals, injuries, anything goes. So I decided to make my own bullet journal. Before I show you how I made my own journal, I just want to tell you that there are a lot of YouTubers who make the most beautiful journals and they have one fixed style. But for me, it's about becoming productive whilst being able to fulfill my need for creativity. So I do not follow any particular style. I do what I feel like in the moment, and my style is a mix of minimalism, doodling, painting, and sometimes even scrapbooking. Let's get started. So for the main body of my journal, I am taking this old paper file cover that I had lying around. I hate to waste paper, so I didn't want a new one. And the size of the file is really large, so I'm going to trim the excess to replicate the size of the journals that we get in the shops. And that way it can fit in the handbags. I have some prepared sheets inside which I used last month. I'm using those as a guide to see how much of the file cover is extra. If you buy a bullet journal online, then it will cost you around 2000 rupees, which is way too expensive for a beginner or even otherwise. It's just a diary with dotted pages in it. Now this is a nail art striping tape which works great for planners. I had it stuck onto this because it's convenient that way and I don't lose it. But I don't need it here anymore. And the good thing about this file cover is that it's going to last me for a few years and not just one. Now I'm painting the inside of the cover white with acrylic paint and leaving the edges, as you can see, because that will be hidden when we cover the file. And this is the stunning cover that I'm using. It's full of golden and silver paisleys. My best friend actually gave it to me for using it on Christmas. You know, I love the juxtaposition between matte and glossy. I've mentioned it before. So I really like this paper and I was saving it for something just as special as this. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I should include this part of preparing the paper to cover the file because some of you might want to see it and some of you might not. So if you don't, just skip a few seconds ahead. Then I used a golden washi tape for the flaps, which matches the cover. For the pages inside, I use the normal A4 size printing sheets which are easily available, and to prepare them, just fold them in half and use a punching machine to make the holes. Then cut them into halves. This is the appropriate size. You don't need more than this space per page, even though at first you might think you need more to write, but you really don't. And to finish up the body, I am adding some adorable black number stickers with golden borders, again in keeping with the theme. As you can see, some of the pink didn't get covered, so I went in again to fix it with paint. Now let's start planning finally. The cover page of September, I went for copper plate calligraphy style or font. and I go over the letters again because I'm using a normal black ballpoint pen. I don't have the brush pen markers like Tombow because they're really expensive, so I make do with what I have. Nothing stops us from doing what we really want. There's always a way out. Alright, for September, I went for a monsoon theme. It had been in my head since July, but it wasn't until August that we got some decent monsoon shower. And I know that so many of you have exams coming up. Maybe you're here watching it when taking a break from studies or work, or just here for some inspiration for your own journals and planners. So my entire motive is to make this a very relaxing and recreational video for you. So I'm not gonna talk as much and let the video and the relaxing music do their job. In case you're wondering what genre this music is, it's called lo-fi. I'm gonna talk about it a little later ahead. So the paper got wet and wrinkly due to watercolors, so I decided to paste another sheet behind it. And I also decided to replace the washi tapes with sellotapes because I felt that I wanted it to look neater. Another benefit of the file is that I can take out my sheets and comfortably draw the setup in the beginning of each month. So coming to month at a glance, I chose the simplest design. Also, usually I don't even use a pencil, but since I was recording all of it, I was afraid that I might make a mistake and will have to redo the stuff, and that would just come in the way of me uploading my video on time. So what I usually do is make the template on one sheet and then copy it on the other. Since I do not have dots to guide me, I do have to use the scale for clean lines. But otherwise, I don't need it for measurements. I just eyeball it. In each square, I have water droplets to write in the dates, which sort of fits in with the monsoon theme. Just want to take a second to tell you that I'm using my fine liner. It is called Artline Fine Line. Unfortunately, it is not waterproof, and in a few minutes you're gonna see the tragedy. Going for some clouds and rain doodle. And you just don't worry about mistakes that you make. Keep a whitener with you. For the banner on the left, I am going for a board which is cut out in the shape of a cloud, if it makes sense. Next up is week at a glance. For the banner, I drew a cloud-shaped board again, which is sort of hanging from the ceiling. And I have been so much into lo-fi music these days. If you don't know what that is, it's this very popular genre of music on YouTube that has really comforting pictures. Usually it's a girl standing or sitting by the window or in the balcony and looking out at some amazing views from her apartment. She's mostly studying. It's very realistic. The music matches the scene so well and it takes you in a different world or mood altogether. So that's how I felt like drawing a window for this week. Go listen to it while you're studying or sleeping or just chilling. And I enjoy using watercolors for the planner because I can control the amount of water to prevent from bleeding on the back side of the paper, which you can't do with most markers and sketch pens. I also like the sketch illustration sort of vibe that you get with just a light stroke of watercolor inside a doodle. So this is how I came to know about my fine liners not being waterproof. My container with water, which I was using for watercoloring, fell and the water spilled on the floor. And these papers flew away because of the fan and landed exactly where the water was. I was really upset and stressed. You know, as YouTubers, we have that pressure of making a perfect video, but there isn't much that I could do. I ironed them once they dried. So here comes the habit tracker you've been waiting for. I got really creative with this and made 2 umbrellas, one for workout/yoga and another for water intake. And the same tragedy happened with this paper. And luckily I had not used the fine liners this time. And on the other page, I'm going for my sleep tracker. I have been struggling to sleep on time and wake up early since 5-6 years now. And I'm going to be honest about that. Here in India, most of the youngsters sleep around 12 on average, I think. What time do you guys sleep? Let me know in the comments which part of the world you are from and what time you sleep. And if this tracker is a bit too much for you, it's totally fine. You do you, whatever works for you. And this is the first time in 10 years that I'm using my stencil because I wanted a big font and a printed type of look. That's why. Whenever I will do yoga or workout, I will paint the block for that date. And for water, I will paint in as per the color key that I'm making. And finally, it's time for a classic minimalist style weekly spread for the next week. This one looks effortless. It's sort of like a wire that is used to make the box, and when it reaches the top, it is twisted and turned to make the word. It's really easy and looks great. You should definitely try this layout if you have never tried it before. And there was too much color in all of the pages before, so I needed this one to be just black and white. I made some umbrellas and warm tea doodles so that it still gives that monsoon vibe, you know. This is the final flip through of my journal. And very soon I will be uploading study and relaxing music playlist on my channel. So if you have exams coming up, stick around so that you don't miss it. Alright guys, that was it. I'll see you next week. Bye.